There's a version of me that loved God, and there's a version of me that wanted the room to go off when the beat dropped. Both showed up every event, both prayed, both led. But if I'm honest with you, and this is the part I don't usually say out loud, the artist made more of the decisions than the servants did. I was deep in ministry at the time, Christian hip-hop artist, traveling, doing outreaches, working alongside pastors. From the outside, I was doing everything right. But there was a split inside me that nobody saw. And deep in my gut, every single time I knew the difference. If you're a Christian leader watching this, whether you're a pastor, a business owner, ministry leader, parent, there's a version of you running your life right now, and it might not be the one you think it is. This is the performance trap, and it's killing more Christian leaders than burnout, scandal, or bad theology combined. So let me define what we're actually talking about. I called it the performance trap because that's what it feels like from the inside. You're always on, camp counselor, always producing, always providing, always running. But performance is just the symptom. The deeper name for what's happening is false identity. False identity isn't lying, it isn't faking. You're not a con artist. False identity is what happens when you let a constructed version of yourself make the decisions while the real you, the one God actually called, watches from the sideline. For some of you, that constructed version is the performer, the one who's always on, the one who needs the room to respond. For some of you, it's the achiever, the one who built an identity on what you produce. You are the output, and the moment your output drops, you panic. For some of you, it's the role. You're the pastor, you're the CEO, the strong one in the family, the kid who made it out. That role started running the show somewhere along the way, and now you don't know who you'd be without it. Here's how you know it's running you. You feel exhausted in places where you used to feel alive. You feel like an imposter in rooms where you should feel free. You make decisions and a quiet voice in your gut says, that really wasn't you. You can't shake the sense that you're wearing a mask, even when you're alone. That's false identity, and every single Christian leader I've ever met, including me, has battled some version of it. So, how does it form? Because nobody wakes up one day and decides, today, I'm gonna lead from a fake version of myself. Nah, it builds slowly, quietly, over years. But these three sources are mostly where it originates from. First, fear. You learned early that some version of you was safe and another version wasn't. The talkative kid got in trouble, the quiet kid got ignored, so you built a version of yourself that survived. And that survival version followed you into adulthood, into leadership, into ministry. The second culprit is the roles. The world handed you a role and you wore it so it fused into your skin. Firstborn, athlete, Polynesian success, pastor's kid, the kid who made it out, whatever the role is, it stopped being something you played and started being something you were. And the third is applause. This is the one nobody talks about, and this is the one that got me. Every time the false self gets rewarded, it gets stronger. Every show I did where the room went off, that fed the artist. Every bro that was anointed, that fed the artist. Every booking, every invitation, every parent who came up to me after and said, my kid hasn't been the same since you spoke, that fed the artist. Meanwhile, the servant, the version of me that just wanted to be obedient, was getting hungrier, quieter, and more tired because nobody was clapping for him. Now, if you're a Christian leader and the world keeps applauding the version of you that you secretly don't trust, pay attention. That applause is feeding the wrong wolf. Let me tell you what false identity actually costs you. Because if I just leave it at, be the real self you are, you're gonna nod, close the video and forget by dinner that you don't want to do something different. The cost is real, folks, and it shows up in 4 places. 1, your decisions warp. When the false self is running the show, you make decisions that spiritually look like they're not what it is. You take the speaking gig because it grows your platform, not because God said so. You launch the program because it serves the people. You skip the hard conversation because the role you're playing doesn't have time for conflict. In retrospect, I can look back and tell you exactly which yeses I gave from the artist and which yeses I gave from the servant. The artist's yeses always took more than they gave. Second, your energy drains. Pretending is exhausting. Performing is exhausting. Holding up a version of yourself that isn't really you takes constant effort. And after years of it, you're just tired. You can't figure out why. The work isn't that hard. The schedule isn't that bad, but you're depleted in a way sleep really doesn't fix. That's not burnout. That's identity exhaustion. Thirdly, your relationships flatten. You can't have deep relationships from a false self. The people closest to you start sensing they're always talking to the role, not the person. Your marriage gets distant. Your kids start performing back at you because they're getting the performer version of dad or mom. Your team feels managed but not led. And lastly, and this is the deepest one, you become incongruent with the desires of your own heart. That phrase isn't fancy, it's just what came out of my mouth when I started processing all of this, and I'll say it slow because I think it's the most important sentence in this whole video. You become incongruent with the desires of your heart in their deepest sense. You know what you actually want. You know who you actually are. You know what God actually put inside you, but the version of you running the show isn't built to pursue those things, so you drift. You succeed at things that don't matter to you. You build a life that looks right, but it feels wrong. And that's the cost. Now here's where this gets hopeful. Because the Bible isn't quiet about this fact. Actually, when you study the leaders God used, the ones whose stories made it into scripture, there's a pattern you can't unsee. God strips before he builds. Got it? Look at Moses. 40 years in Pharaoh's palace, trained, educated, powerful. He had a false identity built on Egyptian privilege and his own strength. So what did God do? Sent him into the desert for 40 more years, tending sheep, anonymous, stripped of everything that made him Moses. Only after the false self had completely died did God show up in the burning bush and say, now you can lead my people. Look at Paul. Saul of Tarsus, Pharisee of the Pharisees, built his entire identity on being more zealous, more religious, more righteous than anyone else. God knocked him off of a horse, struck him blind, sat him in the dark for 3 days, stripped his name, stripped his sight, stripped his religion. Only then did God say, now I can use you. Let's look at Peter. Goodness gracious, the loudest disciple, the one who said, I'll never deny you, Lord, built his identity on being the strongest, the most loyal, the most outspoken. God let him deny Jesus 3 times in one night, and then on a beach gently dismantled the rest of him. Peter, do you love me? Peter, do you love me? Do you love me? 3 denials, 3 restorations, stripped out of the loud self. Now go feed my sheep. The pattern is undeniable, family. God doesn't promote your false identity, he dismantles it. If you're going through a stripping, removing, pruning season right now, if things you built your identity on are crumbling, there's a real possibility this isn't punishment. It might be preparation. God is too kind to let you keep leading from a self that isn't really you. So what does it look like to actually lead from the real you? From the identity that God gave you? A few things change. Your decisions get quieter. You stop needing the big yes from the room before you make a move. You learn to listen to the gut voice, the one I described earlier, the one that knows the difference between God-driven and self-driven. That voice gets louder when you stop drowning it out with applause. For Christians, that voice has a name. It's the Holy Spirit. And he's been taking the whole time, focusing on you. You just couldn't hear him or feel him see you because of the performer in you. Your work changes. You stop building things that prop up your image. You start building things that actually serve people. The two look similar from the outside, but the inside knows the difference. The fruit knows the difference. The people you serve eventually knows the difference too. Your relationships deepen because you finally show up as a person and not a role. Your spouse meets you. Your kids meet you. Your team meets you. Some of them will be shocked. They've never seen the real version. Some will love it. A few might not, and that's okay. The ones who meant to walk with you will recognize the real you. And here's the last thing, and this is the most important part. You stop trying to construct an identity and you start receiving one. This is the whole thing. The false identity is one you built. The true identity is one God gives you. You don't have to manufacture it. You don't have to defend it. You don't have to perform it. You just have to receive it. Beloved, chosen, son, daughter, sent, called, forgiven, free, all of those. They're not accomplishments. Those are gifts. And they were yours before you ever stepped on stage, signed a contract, or earned a title. So let me leave you with this. If you're a Christian leader and you've been feeling that spirit, the split, the gap between the version of you running the show and the version of you that actually loves God, that gap is not your problem to solve. That gap is your invitation, an invitation to let God strip and remove what was never really you and start leading from what's been there the whole time. Here's what I want you to do before you close this video. Think about one decision you made in the last 7 days. Just one. Ask yourself, did I make that from the real me or from the role? Don't beat yourself up about the answer. Just notice it. That noticing is the first step out of the trap. Drop your answer in the comments and I read them all. So let me be honest. I want to know which version of you has been running the show because I'm right there with you, working it out in real time. If this hits you, subscribe. I'm building this channel for Christian leaders who are tired of performing and ready to actually live the life God built for them. I'm Pene, Faleulu Ropati. Same guy, both names, and from now on, both versions fully integrated. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.